DC and Baltimore guys don't like each other. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
yeah.
It was a DC guy that I got into it with.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So one of the older guys named Dana, he basically like told me chill out, like nah.
Right.
DC and Baltimore don't fuck with each other.
Yeah, they
like
don't.
That.
One thing about it, the city gonna show up for you.
The intensity between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. reached a fever pitch at their recent pre-fight press conference, with Davis delivering a chilling warning. "I'll hurt you bad." The two fighters are set to clash in what promises to be a thrilling bout that has the boxing world on edge. With both men possessing explosive power and a desire to prove their dominance, the tension leading up to this fight has been palpable.
So it looks like Gervonta "Tank" Davis is gonna bring up 130-pounder Lamont Roach. Look like they got some type of special permission from the sanctioning bodies to be able to bring him up, and you know, he'd be able to hold his title and Tank defend his 135 title versus Lamont Roach. You know, man, I think Lamont Roach is a really good fighter, man, a skilled boxer, damn good fighter for his weight division. But I just want to ask the hardcore Tank Davis fans, is this the fight that y'all wanted? Is this what y'all was looking for? This what y'all was willing to, you know, ready to pay your money for? And this what y'all was clamoring for? I know it's a lot of Tank fans talking about, well, who else he was going to fight? I mean, I don't think Shakur Stevenson ever got an actual contract, an actual offer where you can accept it or turn it down from Tank Davis. He's a champion in Tank's division. You know what I'm saying? Is this what y'all wanted?
Gervonta Davis, known for his devastating knockout power and relentless aggression in the ring, is coming off a series of impressive victories. With a near-perfect record, Davis has established himself as one of the most feared fighters in the lightweight and super featherweight divisions. His last fight against Frank Martin was spectacular, further cementing his reputation as one of boxing's premier finishers. Heading into his bout with Roach, Davis is brimming with confidence. His statement, "I'll hurt you bad," was not just a threat, but a reflection of his fighting style, unrelenting, powerful, and often overwhelming. He thrives on intimidation, using his fiery personality to mentally dominate his opponents even before the first punch is thrown. Davis's explosive performances have made him a fan favorite, but they've also created an air of inevitability around his fights. Many believe that once Davis finds his rhythm in the ring, it's only a matter of time before he lands the knockout blow. The Baltimore native's relentless pressure, sharp counter-punching, and knockout ratio make him a dangerous opponent for anyone daring to stand in his way. On the other side of the ring, Lamont Roach Jr. enters this high-profile fight as the underdog, but don't be fooled by his status. Roach is a seasoned fighter with a wealth of experience and the skill set to challenge Davis. Roach is known for his slick boxing style, defensive prowess, and ability to frustrate opponents with his movement and counter-punching ability.
For sure.
Okay. I know you're at 130, right? But if the right fight presented itself, would you consider maybe a big fight at 35 if the money was right?
Most definitely, if the money was right. If there's a championship on the line, because those belts are freeing up.
Yeah, they are.
Definitely, for sure. I'm not a super small 130 pounder.
Yeah.
135, I'll definitely be filled out and everything like that. So I definitely would jump up to 35 and crush someone's dreams.
Okay, cause you know, with you being in the DMV and you betting on yourself, if you show that value as not just in the ring, but you know, as an attraction, you might, who knows, maybe you might get a call from Tank or something. You know,
for sure. Tank's my guy too, man. I appreciate him shouting me out after the win. And you know what's crazy? After he beat Hector, I told him.
Roach, hailing from Washington, D.C., comes into this fight determined to make a statement. He knows that a win over a fighter like Gervonta Davis would instantly propel him into superstardom. At the press conference, Roach remained composed despite Davis's aggression, choosing not to engage in the same verbal warfare. Instead, Roach focused on his strategy. While Roach may not possess the same knockout power as Davis, his ring IQ and ability to adjust mid-fight could be key factors in this bout. His defense-first approach will be tested against Davis's relentless pressure. But if Roach can weather the early storm and frustrate his opponent, he may find opportunities to land his own shots. Meanwhile, promoter Eddie Hearn remains unfazed by Davis's decision to face super featherweight Roach. According to Hearn, Davis had limited alternatives with the bigger names unavailable, making Roach the most practical option for the fight. The likes of Edwin De Los Santos, Andy Cruz, Keyshawn Davis, and Raymond Muratalla aren't any more well-known than Lamont Roach.
But Lamont Roach is a good fighter. And if you know your boxing, you know it's a good fight, but he is a super featherweight. He's much smaller than Tank. But, you know, I don't think it's a bad fight, but it's gone down terribly because no one knows who Lamont Roach is. But it's, you know, what were the options for Tank, really? You know, he doesn't want to fight Shakur, and Shakur got injured.
Even if Tank Davis had chosen one of them as his opponent, their names wouldn't resonate with casual boxing fans, and the fight likely wouldn't generate more pay-per-view buys than his matchup with Roach. Eddie Hearn shared his thoughts with Fight Hub TV, suggesting that the backlash online was a bit harsh. While acknowledging the widespread criticism, Hearn emphasized that Lamont Roach is a talented fighter in his own right. The real issue, he explained, is Roach's lack of name recognition. Given Tank's stature in the boxing world, fans were anticipating more high-profile matchups, something this fight falls short of delivering. The uproar isn't just because Roach is a relatively unknown figure to some. The real issue stems from die-hard boxing enthusiasts who are familiar with him, and they have little desire to see him square off against Tank Davis. As for casual viewers, they probably won't care since most are unfamiliar with Davis's past rivals, aside from Ryan Garcia. Tank's team has been careful in selecting his matchups, steering clear of fan-familiar opponents to shield him like a valuable commodity. While this approach has preserved his undefeated record, it has also curbed his potential earnings. If he had taken on more prominent challengers over the past 11 years, his financial gains could have been significantly higher. Hearn pointed out that boxing enthusiasts would appreciate the match for what it was, though he acknowledged the size disparity. Roach, a super featherweight, was notably smaller than Tank. He clarified that while he didn't think the fight was bad, it faced criticism largely because Lamont Roach lacked name recognition. Hearn also raised concerns about Tank's alternatives, noting that Tank seemed to avoid facing Shakur, who had his own setback with an injury. Tank versus Roach seems destined to follow the script of Tank's last fight against Frank Martin, a one-sided clash right from the opening bell. However, the disparity between the fighters is even starker this time, with Roach's lack of power making him no real danger or challenge to Tank. Roach comes across as a low-tier version of Shakur Stevenson, which likely explains why Tank selected him. It feels like Roach is serving as a tune-up fight, priming Tank for an anticipated face-off with Shakur. Hearn clarified that several possible opponents for Tank were off the table, noting that Haney was inactive, a Ryan Garcia rematch wasn't viable, and Pitbull Cruz, who had likely been their intended matchup, had already suffered a loss. He further added that Valenzuela wasn't prepared for a bout of that caliber. While acknowledging the criticism, Hearn conceded that Tank versus Roach wouldn't pull in huge viewership, despite it being a solid fight that hadn't caught the public's attention yet.
Haney's not around fighting, Ryan Garcia rematch isn't there, Pitbull Cruz got beat, and that was definitely the fight I think they were going to make. Valenzuela's not ready. So, all in all, I get it, but it's just not going to do big numbers because it's not a fight that people are aware of is actually quite a good fight.
Coach Stephen Edwards challenges the widespread belief that the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach fight is an easy pick for Davis. While many critics view the bout as lacking genuine competition, Edwards takes a different stance. Though he doesn't foresee Roach pulling off an upset, he firmly rejects the idea that WBA lightweight champion Tank Davis is cherry-picking his opponents. Fans are increasingly frustrated by what they see as a lopsided fight, with much of the disappointment stemming from Tank's habit of picking underwhelming opponents over his 11-year career. If he had occasionally squared off against top-tier talents like Vasily Lomachenko, Edwin De Los Santos, or Shakur Stevenson, the occasional easier bout with fighters like Lamont Roach or Rolly Romero might have been forgiven. Instead, Tank's career has felt like a series of appetizers, with fans left waiting for the main course that never arrives. I don't feel it's a cherry pick because I thought they were going to fight in their hometowns because they live in DC and Baltimore. I think they think it's a cherry pick because of how highly they think of Tank, said Stephen Edwards. Although Edwards may dismiss the idea that the matchup between Davis and Roach is a cherry pick, the wider boxing community holds a different opinion. Both fans and analysts express their frustration, perceiving Tank as being intentionally matched against easier competition. This approach is seen as a way to prolong his career by reducing the risks he faces, all while enhancing his reputation beyond what his skills truly warrant, said Stephen. They look at Tank like he should be fighting Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevenson. He hasn't fought those guys yet. So they think of him so highly that anything less than that is going to look like a cherry pick. I don't think he can beat Tank. Tank has garnered a reputation for taking down less seasoned fighters, including Rolly Romero, Frank Martin, and Isaac Cruz. These matchups showcased his tendency to depend more on his knockout prowess than on refined boxing techniques, highlighting a pattern of strategic matchmaking that safeguards his undefeated record. This matchup is shaping up to be an intriguing technical contest, bolstered by an impressive undercard. Although Tank is generally seen as the front-runner, several experts and fellow fighters are not completely ruling out Lamont Roach's potential for an upset. On the other hand, welterweight star Kenneth Sims Jr., who has competed against both Roach and Davis, shared his thoughts on the impending matchup. He highlighted the key strategies each fighter must adopt to claim victory. At first, the bossman chose to stay silent on the fight, believing that voicing predictions would be disrespectful due to his friendly ties with both competitors. Eventually, however, he softened and reflected on the unforgettable experiences he and Roach had enjoyed during their national semifinal clash. However, the Illinois resident said that since Roach and Tank are both counterpunchers, one of them has to come out of their comfort zone to get the other one to open, in order for them to win the fight. He also mentioned Gervonta Davis's slow start and how it takes him some time to find his rhythm. Tank starts slow, but as the fight goes, he is going to pick it up and then he get busy, stated Kenneth Sims Jr. Lamont Roach is an adept fighter, renowned for his technical prowess and championship pedigree. In the context of potential challengers for Gervonta Tank Davis in a pay-per-view event, Paulie Malignaggi expresses a preference for opponents who not only deliver thrilling performances at the highest level, but also bring a compelling personality that ignites conversation and intrigue. Paulie Malignaggi said, "Davis is a bona fide pay-per-view star, whether you agree that so many of his fights should have been on pay-per-view, and I disagreed with most of them. He's been established on pay-per-view for a while now. What's been lacking is the proper opposition necessary to charge those kinds of fees. This matchup feels more like a backup option in the event that Davis-Stevenson occurs, especially since Stevenson has had to pull out due to injury. If there were a strong guarantee that Davis and Stevenson would meet in the ring next, this fight would hold greater significance. However, that doesn't appear to be the situation at all." Malignaggi added, "Davis has to be considered a heavy favorite. With respect to Roach, if he won, it would be the upset of the year, and a matchup capable of producing the upset of the year shouldn't be on pay-per-view." In a recent interview, Gary Russell Jr. unleashed his thoughts on Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney, branding them as lackluster competitors. The former featherweight champion claimed that Tank Davis, the WBA regular lightweight title holder, is misleading fans by carefully choosing to fight weaker opponents. Russell asserts that Davis is intentionally dodging tougher challenges to safeguard his undefeated status, depriving fans of the exciting matchups they crave. Tank Davis has held on to the secondary WBA lightweight title for an extended period, effectively evading the tougher battles that would inevitably follow if he were to pursue the primary championship. Russell expressed his disapproval of Davis's latest opponent, Lamont Roach, who has made a comeback from the super featherweight division. "Tank has been fighting a lot of people that fans don't want to see him fight anyway. I could have seen that coming," said Gary Russell Jr. to Fight Hype, reacting to Gervonta Davis handpicking Lamont Roach from the super featherweight division rather than selecting a lightweight. During his 11-year career, Gervonta has often battled opponents who didn't quite capture the audience's enthusiasm. The notable exception was his highly anticipated clash with Ryan Garcia, a bout many had eagerly awaited but ultimately perceived as lopsided. Ryan's aspirations for victory were significantly diminished by the weight conditions Gervonta mandated in their contract, placing him at a clear disadvantage. "I don't think he can do that for much longer. I believe the fans as well as the media networks like yourself that have the platform and have the ability to push," Russell said, when asked how much longer Tank Davis can get away with cherry-picking weak opposition, the way he's been doing his entire 11-year career. To his fans, Lamont Roach is considered an elite fighter. However, the quality of opponents he has faced since his professional debut in 2013 may hinder his pay-per-view success for the foreseeable future. Given his current lineup of matches, it's difficult to picture him achieving the coveted milestone of 1 million buys, as he isn't competing against the rivals that excite audiences. Russell said, "Y'all are the ones who are being bamboozled. Y'all want to see the best compete against the best. And the people that y'all feel as though are the best, they're not trying to compete against the best. They'd rather fight someone that y'all don't even know. Y'all never heard of them." If Tank's management were truly committed to matching him against elite fighters, they would be setting up a bout with Edwin de los Santos on December 14th, rather than Lamont Roach. The ideal moment to seize such a challenge arose in 2017, when Vasily Lomachenko first called him out, presenting an excellent chance for him to make his mark in the ring. Russell added, "Everybody is like, damn, why is he fighting this person? Nah, that stuff is too difficult for them. Your favorite fighters are suckers out here, that's a fact. A period on that. It ain't no perception. Tank is picking and choosing. I always say, it ain't nothing personal. But Tank gotta take it personally if I'm saying, I think you're a wimp because you're fighting someone that's not a dog. Russell made it clear that he had no intention of undermining Lamont Roach, noting his familiarity with Roach and his family, whom he regarded as admirable individuals. Nonetheless, he insisted that there are varying degrees in this sport and took issue with portraying the fight as a contest between Baltimore and a local rival. He accused Tank of selectively choosing his opponents, raising the question of when fighters would allow pride, ego, and integrity to motivate them to genuinely challenge their skills. Russell pondered the absence of that mindset in today's boxing landscape. He said, if they're both 100% healthy, I don't think Lamont has a chance of winning this fight. In my personal opinion, I don't think Lamont is going to win the fight. It'll be interesting in the beginning half of the fight. In the latter half of the fight, Tank is going to start walking him down and start touching him. KO or TKO, one of the two. In the midst of the uproar, trainer Calvin Ford seemed noticeably anxious while responding to questions about Gervonta Tank Davis's selection of Lamont Roach as his upcoming rival. Ford's reasoning for Tank facing Roach appeared rather flimsy, asserting, it's beneficial for the community. Yet, this perspective isn't echoed by boxing enthusiasts, who are the ones forking over $75.95 for Tank's pay-per-view events. Clearly, this choice doesn't seem to serve their interests. At 29, Roach encountered a setback against Jamel Herring in 2019, but he has bounced back with wins over Fiergel McCrory, Hector Luis Garcia, and Angel Rodriguez. Despite these victories, none of these fighters are considered top-tier competition. His defeat by Herring raises questions about Roach's preparedness for a fight with Tank. They've been knowing each other since the amateurs, the silver gloves, and everything. They grew up with each other, said trainer Calvin Ford to Fight Hype, talking about Gervonta Davis knowing Lamont Roach Jr. well from the past. Fans are more interested in Tank Davis's upcoming fights against elite contenders in the 135-pound division than his past connections with Roach from their old neighborhood. There's a growing excitement for potential matchups against fighters such as William Zepeda, Raymond Muratalla, Andy Cruz, Abdullah Mason, and Keyshawn Davis. Roach and him had back-and-forth battles and whatnot. It's going to be a pretty interesting fight because Roach comes to fight. I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff. Ah, why Roach? Because he took the fight, and it's good for the community, said Ford. He doesn't clarify which community he means. Is it the one situated between Baltimore and Washington, D.C.? The fan base reaches well beyond that limited area. Tank should expand his viewpoint and acknowledge the wider audience across the nation, rather than avoiding the talented fighters at 135. This is the third time Tank Davis has opted to face a super featherweight in a bid to defend his WBA lightweight title. In earlier bouts, he went up against 130-pound contenders Hector Luis Garcia and Leo Santa Cruz. People are going to do that. That's what fans do. They give bad criticism, said Ford, criticizing fighters when they take weak opponents, especially when they do it repeatedly throughout their careers, as Tank Davis has done. I remember when everyone was saying I should let Pitbull fight Tank again. They were talking about that. And then when he won that belt, WBA light welterweight, boom. I don't get involved with that. I just prepare him and get him ready to put on a great performance for the fans and whatnot. Like I said, we just focus on the fight in front of us. And that's the fight in front of us, said Ford, about Roach being the next title defense for Gervonta. That answer from Ford isn't good enough, saying, we just focus on the fight in front of us. That hardly addresses the issue at hand. What we really need is for the Grand Inquisitor to step in and demand that Ford provide authentic reasoning behind Tank Davis's choice to fight Roach. This matter goes beyond the surface of his comments. A sense of apprehension seems to be guiding Tank's decisions. He's gravitating toward what appears to be the safest option, favoring the easiest route to earn quick cash while sidestepping any possible dangers. Moreover, Davis and Lamont Roach recently faced off in a gripping test of will and power. The tension between them is reaching new heights daily as their online rivalry intensifies. Just last week, they exchanged barbs on X, with Roach trying to provoke the WBA lightweight champion by suggesting he should train with heavier opponents ahead of their December bout. Tank wasted no time firing back, asserting that he would reveal his true intentions when they meet in the ring. For nearly a week, peace reigned until Lamont Roach decided to shake things up again. He took a lighthearted shot at Davis in the lead-up to the NFL clash between the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders. However, his playful attempt to provoke the WBA super featherweight champion backfired spectacularly, leaving Roach once again on the losing side. The conflict erupted when Roach responded to a Ravens fan who was mocking the Washington Commanders. During the back and forth, the fan escalated the situation by referencing Gervonta Davis's fight with Lamont Roach, hoping to bolster his point. The tweet read, "We whipping DC for the rest of the year. Ravens today, Tank in December, adding that Roach will be losing to Davis come December. Being from Washington, D.C., Roach did not take the comment kindly and shot back, "This different over here." As expected, Tank saw the response and decided to jump right in. The WBA lightweight champion retorted, "Yeah, you asking for it." WBA super featherweight champion Lamont Roach Jr. found himself at a loss for words, replying with nothing more than an emoji. As if that weren't enough, his Washington Commanders suffered a heartbreaking defeat against the Baltimore Ravens, who triumphed with a 30-23 win in their Week 6 clash on Sunday. When the Davis vs. Roach fight was initially revealed last month, the response from fans was somewhat tepid. However, following their fiery exchanges online, anticipation for the matchup has been on the rise. The rivalry is clearly heating up, and with an impressive undercard set to accompany the main event, this showdown has the potential to exceed expectations, particularly as Roach promises to challenge Davis like never before. Jermall Charlo is preparing to return to the ring, with a potential matchup against Thomas LaManna on the undercard as he aims to revitalize his career. Meanwhile, the spotlight is expected to shine on the eagerly awaited rematch between Stephen Fulton and Brandon Figueroa. Furthermore, it appears that David Benavidez is set to face off against Jesse Hart in a co-main event battle on the same card. While the main event started with minimal excitement, the escalating online feud has transformed the story to its advantage. For Roach, this clash represents the high point of his career, and he is determined to put on his most outstanding performance to date. Just a week following the WBA's approval of the lightweight title showdown between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach Jr., the atmosphere has become charged, thanks to a fiery online confrontation between the two fighters. Scheduled for December 14th, this bout sees Roach granted special permission by the WBA to move up to lightweight in pursuit of the title. This matchup once again highlights Davis's star power, allowing him the privilege of hand-picking his challengers. Fans expressed their disappointment upon hearing the announcement, as Roach has yet to prove himself against top-tier opponents like Tank. Compounding this skepticism is Roach's move up from a lighter weight division, which could put him at a disadvantage in the ring. Despite holding the title of WBA super featherweight champion, enthusiasm for the matchup seems to be waning. In an effort to generate buzz, both fighters engaged in a fiery back-and-forth on X, where Roach aimed to provoke the WBA lightweight champion, but was met with a clever and striking rebuttal. The conversation sparked to life when heavyweight boxer Marcellus Williams asked about the costs associated with sparring sessions with the champion. Driven by a desire to refine his abilities, Williams was determined to turn this opportunity into reality. However, Lamont Roach Jr. wasted no time in replying to the tweet, quipping, "He gonna need to spar you, bro. No funny." Davis was curious about the comment and asked for more details, so Roach shared a fan's interpretation of the tweet. Roach quoted a fan reply who wrote, "You need to spar someone heavy cause he coming with it," explaining the meaning behind Roach's tweet. The Reaper proposes that the unbeaten 30-0 boxer should take on sparring sessions with heavier contenders in preparation for their December showdown. Although Davis might be focused on securing an easy win, Roach views this as an ideal chance to enhance his visibility and enhance his market appeal. Tank did not let the disrespect go idly as he responded and wrote, "I advise you not to talk so much. It can be bad for you. You know that already, though," stating that Roach should do the talking inside the ring and not online. Additionally, he warned Roach of the consequences of upsetting the WBA lightweight champion. The exchange of words escalated quickly as Roach countered, boldly claiming he was unlike any of the opponents Davis had encountered before. Throughout his career, Tank has frequently faced criticism for his tendency to handpick his rivals. Roach wrote, "You must think I'm one of them regular you fought or some LOL cut it out measy," making sure that the Baltimore native knows it won't be like his previous fights. He is desperate for this battle and will do anything to surprise everyone, even if he comes from a lower weight class. Gervonta Davis decided to make his intentions known in the ring by letting his deeds speak louder than words. By just saying, "Say nothing," he mimicked a tweet from Reaper that boldly expressed his trust in the WBA super featherweight champion. So, that's all from today's video. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.